Okay, so I got a phone call, completely burnt my video. So this is part two. Wasn't what I was hoping to do, but now this is part two. All right, so we left off on Chobos, and what you're not gonna do is this because of that. That was not done on purpose, but I'm glad that worked out because that's exactly what will happen when you go up against somebody with Chobos and you think you're a badass and you try some of this shit. Once if this goes off in any direction other than where you can see it, you're in deep shit. It doesn't get any simpler than that. You're in deep shit. All right, like the deepest of deep shit. All right. These are practice commas, not the chobos, but that's what the chobos is made of. So this is tape. It's not really steel. You know, my steel ones are being worked on because I'm getting some covers made for them. But this is tape. It's all tape. It's all wood. Still painful if you get hit by one. In a real fight, it will be more used like this. Block, strike, strike, strike. You're done. You're gonna peel that armor off and you're gonna keep going. Now after that first peel off, you're just gonna keep cutting. Sometimes you ain't even gonna peel the armor off, you're just gonna keep cutting. These are close range weapons. They are not long range weapons. These things are for close quarters combat only. Now these are long because they're training, but my average one is like half of the size of this stick. So you're not gonna be doing this shit. Alright? Which also goes back to what you're not gonna be doing in actual combat with these bitches. You see people whirl them in the tournaments all the time. That's tournaments. It's not putting anybody in danger other than the people in the audience if this bitch flies off at you. But they're not supposed to be sharp for tournaments. They're just supposed to be shiny. So if you're blocking and you do this and this and then this, that's great for the movies. Not good in real life. Same thing on the other side. Block this and this is correct. Block this, this, and then this incorrect. Because the second this bitch whirls from your hand, it can get your hand cut off, or someone could accidentally cut themselves with the commas. And you don't want to do that. You want to keep this shit standard and you want to keep this shit safe. So guys coming, block with a sword. You blocking your sword with this, you're gonna keep cutting. You're not gonna stop. And it's not gonna be this shit that you're gonna see in the movies, because I'm sure somebody's watching me and stealing my moves and shit. Boom, boom, boom. Now in the movies, that's gonna look cool as fuck. In real life, you're gonna lose your hand, and you'll probably lose your life. So boom, 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 correct, boom, incorrect. That's just movie shit only. You need a closer look. Boom, slice, slice, correct. Boom, slice, pull back, incorrect. Now with the power of imagination, we're gonna turn commas into tonfas because I'm poor and I'm broke. Now I'm an outside to inside guy. You can be an inside to outside guy. I'm gonna tell you why I'm against that. See, if you're coming out from the inside, you gotta clear the barrier of your body. And if you don't, when you put enough power behind it, you're gonna break a rib trying to hurt someone else. But on the outside, you don't have to worry about that. Also, commas are thick. They'll cover your entire fucking forearm. And there's about 2 inches up here versus this little half inch on my little sticky sticks here. So if you're gonna block, we're gonna do karate first. So block and then strike. Now you're gonna do kung fu. Block and then strike. All right? So guys coming, karate, block, strike. Kung fu, block, strike. Understand the difference? All right? I'm also in a southpaw stand, so I went from a karate stand to a kung fu move when I blocked it and I struck it, versus when I do karate, block, and strike. All right? Now if I'm doing kung fu, block, strike, versus karate, block, strike. All right? Now for anybody goes, what's the difference? The difference are minute. And the difference is who teaches you what. Yes, tonfas are actually Japanese weapons. Commas are universal, but tonfas are actually Japanese weapons. So, jab, boom, that's pretty much gonna end the fight, because nobody's fucking got a steel jaw that's gonna be able to take a jab to the gut and then a clap down to their face with a fucking tonfa. Unless they got some serious adrenaline running at the time, that's the reality of fighting. If I jab you in the gut with a fucking 3 pieces of wood that's like an inch and a half thick to 2 inches long, boom, and you come down because you're gonna feel that pain, and I just do that, it's done. Now, if you're good and I throw a punch and you block it with your tonfa, now we got to fight. All right, boom, boom, and you're blocking it, so they're clashing. That just means both of y'all got some good fucking fighting experience, and it's gonna take forever. All right, I ain't got time for that shit. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try to put you down like the dog that you are. Now, that was karate for the most part, but it was also kung fu. When you get into a fight, it's not going to matter which style you're using. What's going to matter is that you survive. For instance, karate. Boom, that's a block. So I blocked it. Boom, and now I'm kicking. Now for kung fu, I'm going to block, I'm going to strike, and I'm going to kick with the closest thing to it, because kung fu is more about precision versus power. Because some of us don't have power. I'm 150 pounds. I have no upper body strength. I have no lower body strength. But I make up for that in skill. And mostly, as long as you have skills, you don't really need strength. As long as you have knowledge, you don't really need strength. So I'm going to use a tonfa, and then I'm going to use a Thai fighting move. So let's say I block, and then I come down, and then I bring a knee up. All right? The knee up was the Thai fighting move, in case you're not aware. But can you call it Thai fighting when every martial art teaches you knees? All right? Now, Thai fighting and American kickboxing home in and focus on knees and elbows, but 9 times out of 10, every martial art style incorporates a knee or an elbow. You don't have to believe me. I'm 52. Take your chances. Just knock yourself out. Take your fucking chances. May God have mercy on your soul. Now, again, I'm an outside to inside guy, so jab and out versus jab and in. Don't clear that body spot. You're going to crack your rib, and you're going to hurt yourself before your opponent gets hurt, and then they're going to hurt you, because in your haste to hurt them, you hurt yourself. Same thing with uppercuts. Uppercut. 9 times out of 10, if you're going to uppercut, it's going to be followed from the outside versus uppercut and followed from the inside, because if you check your chin while you're trying to knock them out, you're going to knock yourself out in the same process, and that is not a fucking option. Boom. Versus boom. Plus, if your grip is bad going this way, it's going to come all the way back and it's going to bust your shit. Well, with this, at least it's going away from you. And that way, if it gets out of your hand, it's far enough away that you're not going to get fucked up by your own shit, versus you throwing an uppercut and then trying to come up to chin check. You're going to chin check your goddamn self if you don't clear that fucking body barrier. And a lot of people don't teach you that shit. There's life lessons that you don't want to learn is when you go ass and then you do that, and next damn thing you know, you stretched. Because you connect, boom, uppercut. But then you try to come around from the inside to the outside, it's a slim chance. Just a slim chance, but freak accidents do happen. It's a real thing. You come up, ow! Now, 9 times out of 10, you hit somebody with the tonfa, with an uppercut, you don't even necessarily have to have a follow through, because it's a fucking 2-inch piece of thick wood right here. It's also 1.5 inches longer than this thing. So when you come up, you're coming up with an uppercut, boom, and you're hitting with the tonfa versus your hand. The tonfa, solid wood, boom. They're not invincible. They're going to sleep. This is overkill. Boom, boom, that's overkill. You don't even need that. When you hit them up with the uppercut like this, you don't need to do this and this, or this and this. None of that shit's necessary, because a tonfa is a really thick piece of wood in the front, a really long piece of wood in the back. It covers your forearms and your hands. So understand how weapons work. Understand the weaponry of which you are using, so that you don't fuck yourself up. And 9 times out of 10, you probably won't need your feet if you're using tonfas or kamas, because they're blades. All right, so now we're going to go into nunchucks, and that's going to be the last one of those before I start doing hand-to-hand shit. All right, so these are training nunchucks. They're basically foam pipe covered in rubber for like when you fix pipes in the bathrooms and shit, or basement. Now, you're going to use weapons in a real fight. You're not going to get the chance to do all this shit. All right. You may think you're going to get the chance, but go back and watch Enter the Dragon and see how many times he does that versus and back to one, back to one. That you might get a chance to do. You might. The reality is, this is short range. I got control, but you see I got my guard up and I roll with it. This is mid range. Not as much control, but still want to roll with it because you don't want your shit to go wrong. This is long range. There's little to no control, and there's little place to hold your grip. So we can show you that's where your grip is on long range, mid range, and close range. Now, either way, when you're swinging these motherfuckers, you gotta make sure you have enough coherency to go with it. With this, what are y'all doing back here? Yeah, I have to end this video quick. When this thing hits something, it bounces back at the person swinging it. You know, so you got to be real careful when you pop somebody. You're gonna need to go with it, boom, because if it hits solid, it's gonna come back. So be forewarned. We have to make this quick because now the pain in the asses that was in the house are now outside of the house. I don't know what adult is watching them, but it ain't me. So we're going to take these gloves off. All right. So I'm only going to put this as simple as possible. We're going to do bound fighting to end the video. And we might not get back to those spikes. What you're not going to do when your hands are tied behind you or in front of you are the fancy smancies. The reverse tornado. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do the regular tornado. You're not going to do that. And you're not going to do the jumping, spinning back flick kick or the butterfly. I'm not going to demonstrate the butterfly. I am going to demonstrate the jumping, spinning back kick because the butterfly really puts a lot of pressure on my hip. So we're not going to do that. But this. Now you've seen all that. The reason why you're not going to do it with your hands tied is because your balance is off. Especially in the back. 1 second. My nose is running. So I want to make sure that that I handle that before I get started. I don't want to be jumping around and have snot flying all over the place, although that shit would be cool. It's really not cool. Okay. So we're going to do bound fighting and escapes versus bound fighting and actual fucking combat. Because field tested, yes. Approved, no. You will never in your life be in a situation, unless you live in La Vida Loca, where you're going to ever be bound and tied. So that's America's ass. But just to sort of show you, my hands are actually tied. So it's going to limit your shit. So what you want to do is this is my right, this is my left. So whatever I say is the route that I'm escaping, I want to send my opponent in the opposite direction. So since my left leg is fucked up, we're going to send everybody to my right first. And I am an outside to inside guy versus an inside to outside guy. You will figure out what kick works for you. But in a situation where I need to go to my right and I want to send that guy to my left, I'm going to do a right leg crescent kick outside to inside, and sending him to my right would be a bad idea. So I'm going to send him to my left because I'm trying to go to my right. So how I land is how I need to be prepared to take off. If I put just enough oomph in there, I won't have to do too much turning. If I put too much oomph in there, I'm going to have to pop my hip and go in the direction I need to go. So my door is on the right, and we are going to send him to the left, which is over there for me. So I'm going to do outside to inside crescent kick. It's going to look like this. Boom. Now see, that's a lot of power. So because I landed that way, I go off the left. Now, if I can get enough energy but not go overstepping, I should land more like this. Boom. So here, I've stopped. He's over there. I can go back this way because it'll be much easier. Same thing, my door's on the left, so I want to send him to my right. He's coming, boom. So I'm here, I pop my hips and I go this way. If I get just enough so that I land less than hold of that kick, yeah, that's a big part. If I land less than hold, so if I give him just enough, boom, if I stop here, I can step back and go this way. Which is why you're not going to be doing any of this shit. Because if he runs at you and you see how my balance is off? You see I can barely get a rotation? You're going to be rotating from the dirt. Doesn't get any simpler than that. You're going to be rotating from the dirt. Now you could pull off a jumping spinning back kick if you're younger and faster, but you don't know who you're fighting until the first blow is thrown. If you have to do any kind of jumping kicks, they should only be like a simple boom to the front, not something fancy. I really don't recommend that, but if he's coming at you, boom, axe kick or a front kick, boom, So that way, if you have to engage to get past him, you want to keep that shit simple because that's your blocking range. You're fixing to go to sleep. A lot of people ain't gonna tell you the truth on that. If this is as high as you can block and you can't get your head down out the way, good luck or good night. Now you're gonna piss the guy off and he's beating the fuck out of you. Your hands are tied up. Now if you're a contortionist and you can do that little slip over your shoulder thing or slip under your ass thing, knock yourself out because that will help you. I ain't that damn flexible. I'm 52. So fight smarter, not harder. Now, if my door is to the right and I have to do an inside-outside crescent kick, it's gonna look more like this. He's coming at me, boom. I'm gonna stop him right there and I'm going this way. Same thing on the other side. If my door's to the left, he's coming, I wanna send him to the right. Inside to outside crescent kick works the same way, but it's also something that I can have a little bit more control over, but it's coming from the inside to the outside. I'm kicking him to the right so that I can go left because that's my way out. So, boom. Now I'm going this way and the other way when it's the other way. Know your escape route. Now, unfortunately, if the front door is the only way out and it's between you and him, then you may have to engage this motherfucker. You want to keep it short. So you're going to have to target spot your attack. So if he's coming at you, a front kick above the knee to send him back. When he's coming down, you just bring your knee back up. So it'll look more like boom, boom. Now if you can't do that and you kick his leg, just get the hell out the way. He goes down, drop your knee on his back and then try to keep it there. Because you're gonna have to figure out how to do this shit with your hands tied. And that's not gonna be an easy task. So we're gonna go to the end of the video by going in the front now. The front's a little bit more durable and you have a better fucking chance fighting with your hands in front, which is why I said if you have that contortionist ability to either get it over your ass and get one through at a time or both at the same time or come over your shoulders with that contortionist shoulder shit. I can't do any of that shit, so I'm not gonna lie to you about it, but if you can do that, keep practicing it so that you'll never lose it. So now you have the ability to block. High right, medium with knee, low. High left, low left, or should I say medium left. Medium with knee, low. Now it's very important that you remember those medium with knees because they're still part of your arsenal. You just have to work all the way through. Now, for karate, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me, but it's usually going to be a block and counter, or it's going to be a block and counter, but your hands are tied together, so it's going to be a lot difficult. So I stick with Kung Fu. I'm going to block, I'm going to knee, and I'm going to counter with that elbow. But if I can't do it that way, then I'm going to do karate, and I'm going to block, I'm going to knee, and I'm going to counter with this fist, because this fist is going to be more about power and torque versus this elbow, which is going to be a direct line. All right? Now, a lot of people don't seem to understand the difference between karate and Kung Fu is more about precision and strength, where if you're going to do karate, your strength is everything, where you're going to do Kung Fu, it's better to be precise with straight, precise strikes. Everybody's going to tell you something different, and a lot of people are going to tell me I'm wrong, And I would tell them, how many street fights you been in since you were 6? Because if you ain't been in street fights since you were 6, shut the fuck up. All right, I've been fighting for a very long time, and I'm 5'3". I'm more dangerous to you than you are to me, unless I'm in the bed sleeping or getting some. So then I'm in deep shit. But also, with this ability to block, it really levels the playing field against your enemy. Because you can block all day and not have to throw anything. Now, if you study Kempo, then you understand what I'm about to say. This is not just a block, it is a strike. Where if you just study karate, this is just a block. This is just a block. Where Kempo, boom, boom. If you're taught properly, your block should go anywhere between here and there, so you can push them off far enough that you can throw them off balance for the next move, which should be a knee here. But if you're gonna do karate and you push them off, you're gonna push with that kick, because that's gonna give you the power needed to get them further away. I'm tied up. I'm not letting you get far enough away from me that you can regroup. So when I push and I knee, I'm putting this over your neck and I'm reeling the fuck back. And I'm gonna choke you until I can't. You know, so you're gonna either cut me free or you're gonna flip me off. And in that case, I'm gonna lock my hands so that you can't. You're gonna have to cut me free. And once you cut me free, your ass is mine. Desperate calls for desperate. So if I'm choking you and I got my hands around your throat and your back across like this, you're gonna cut those ropes, or you're gonna turn blue and you're gonna pass the fuck out, or red, or you're gonna wind up in a morgue. The choice is yours. You handcuff me. Now I got weapons. You just don't know that I have weapons, because the thought of somebody 5'3" choking someone is damn near out of reach with handcuffs. So I'll do a quick story time. The fuck was that? Okay, I saw something reflecting on my phone. I don't know if it's gonna pick up, but I did see it. Anyway, the point being made is that these are weapons for me. They're not weapons for the average Joe. When you handcuff me, the only thing you've done is gave me an advantage that you didn't know you gave me. All right? So, before we end the video, we're gonna talk about weapons and actual fights and shit. 1, never bring a weapon to a fight. Don't bring a gun, don't bring a knife, because that could also be used against you the way you plan on using it against someone else. And understand that these things do happen. Is this bitch still recording? Yep, it's still fucking recording. Okay, sorry. I got 3 different buttons up there, so it's hard to fucking distinguish if it's recording. If you don't know what you're doing with that weapon will surely be taken from you and used against you. For instance, if I bring a knife and you don't have a knife, but you've been training how to disarm a motherfucker, and I'm coming at you with this knife, and I don't know jack shit about how to stab a person correctly, and I go here, and you block, and you turn that knife into me, that shit's my fault because I bought the fucking knife. So don't bring shit that you don't know how to use, or because you saw some shit on TV, or you saw me bust out some cool ass shit on a video. No. If you haven't fought with a knife, do not bring a knife to a fight. And if somebody sees your knife and they get a hold of your hand when you go pull your knife, you're not going to get that knife out if that motherfucker knows what they're doing. And while you're struggling, realizing they're holding your hand and your knife, they have other arsenals like their fucking head. Boom! Boom! Now you get your knife, boom! You just stab yourself in the fucking leg. A little bit further down, you hit an artery, you'll bleed the fuck out before the cops even get there, and it's your knife. And all the guys said, hey man, he pulled the knife. That line, it's your knife in your leg. And that's gonna be a whole clusterfuck if you fucking survive when you go to court and shit. It's not worth it. These are spikes. They are for, again, putting a balloon house or whatever the fuck into the ground. They can also be weapons if taught proper martial arts, that everything you touch should become a part of your skill set. A lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know how to use everything they grab. Now, this is also blocking. If you've taken Kempo or knife deterrent, you can block this way as well, because you can block and chamber that shit. I'm not about blocking and chambering. If you pulling out a knife, I'm going for your wrist. I know I'm going to get cut. That is an acceptable thing that I have to accept. You have a knife, so you can stab me, or you can cut me, you can gash me this way, or you can gash me this way, depending on if you're gonna do the reverse grip or the normal grip. I know that I'm going to get cut because the hand is quicker than the eye. I also know that I'm going to try to take that damn knife from you, and I'm going to try to stick that puppy back inside of you as many times as you're going to cut me. But when I stick it in you, it's going to stay there because I'm going to kick that bitch all the way through your back. So yeah, I'm cut the fuck up, but I'm still alive. I'm going to have to get a whole bunch of fucking stitches. I'm going to have to explain to the cops, hey man, you came at me first. On a side note, I am a veteran of the United States Army, so that might help me out in court. It might not. But understand, I had one job in the Army, and it wasn't a nice job. It was infantry, and they told me what I would have to do. Now, I never got deployed, so we won't be having any of those discussions. But when it comes to martial arts, that's my shit. All right? I can do this shit all goddamn day. But the videos are only allowed to be yay so long. And so, we're going to end this on a good note. When you start taking a martial art, it becomes a way of life. It is not something that you just go to the gym every other day to do. It becomes a way of life. So if you only go to the gym 3 to 5 days a week to learn a martial art from there, okay. After you get out of the dojo, you go back and practice. 9 times out of 10 at a gym, they don't really train you in the way of training so that you earn belts and shit. That's the dojo life. If you want to earn belts, you go to a dojo. If you go into a gym and you're learning American kickboxing, you're probably not going to get a belt. You just got to learn how to fight in the ring, which is great. But also understand, as we close this out, fighting out here versus fighting in a ring and fighting in a tournament are 2 completely different things, or 3 completely different things. If you're going to the Olympics, it's tit for tat. If you're going to do full contact sports, it's tit for tat. When you're out here in the street, there are no fucking rules. And these things here, as plastic, they're still equally deadly in the right hands. So don't go thinking you're a badass because you have a belt. It doesn't make you a badass. It just makes you a top student in your school. Out here in the real world, no one gives a flying frack if you have a belt or not. So hopefully I've taught you something in these 2 videos. And if I didn't, I do apologize. But don't go out here and do stupid shit, man. A black belt does not make you a fucking warrior. It just makes you a student with a black belt. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise, or your feelings are going to get hurt. Because if you get out here and you get somebody who's been street fighting or something and actually know what they're doing, that's a different ball game. And for all you street fighters, let me make this clear, because I've watched a lot of us street fighters get our asses kicked in a dojo. You're not fighting in the streets if you're going to a dojo to accept the challenge. You're going to their battleground, which means you are going to lose. Now, if they come to your battleground and there's no ground rules, no eye gouging or any of that shit, then you're going to win because it's a street fight. When you go to a dojo, you're going into their territory. If you have not been trained in a dojo, you are going to get your ass kicked. What works out here doesn't work in there because there's rules in there. So don't be I'm a badass. I'm going to come up in this dojo. I'm a dojo storm. I'm going to fuck motherfuckers up. I'm going after the BJJ guys. Okay? You go after the BJJ guys out right here. All right? Because when you go in their territory, you've already signed your death warrant. It's really simple. They know how the rules work in the dojo. They don't know how the rules work in the streets. But some of those dojo motherfuckers used to fight in the streets. Just be forewarned on that. Now, I am personally going to do another video about certain things with BJJ that just disgust me. I'm pissed off a lot of BJJ people, and that'll be the final video that I make today. So, unless I do some pretending videos. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope I taught you something.